All right, let's kick off another deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at YouTube success, specifically how to grab those viewers and grow a channel. We've been looking into this course, Hook Mastery by Bernth. He's an Austrian guitarist, and get this, he's got like 1.29 million subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, that's impressive.
Right. So in his course, he says the secret sauce is basically two things: having killer ideas and making sure your thumbnails are super eye-catching.
Interesting.
Yeah, he even makes this analogy about starting a fire. You need the right fuel, obviously, but you also need enough heat to really get it going. Makes you think, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, strong concepts and visuals are definitely huge. I can totally see how a really good thumbnail can pull people in, like almost magnetically.
Exactly.
But I think it's worth pointing out that building a successful YouTube channel, it's a lot more than just lighting a fire. It's more like constructing a whole skyscraper, you know what I mean?
Oh, I like that analogy.
You need a solid foundation, that's for sure.
Okay.
But then you've got the structure, systems, constant upkeep, the whole 9 yards.
So you're saying there's way more to it than just a catchy hook and a flashy thumbnail.
Definitely. There are so many other things that aspiring YouTubers often miss. Like, first and foremost, your content has to be good.
Right. Quality over everything.
Exactly. Grabbing attention is just the first step. You've got to actually give people something worthwhile, you know?
Absolutely.
And think about what you're offering. Is it entertainment? Is it educational? Maybe a bit of both. And keep in mind that quality is subjective. What works for a gaming channel might be totally different for, say, a cooking channel.
So true. It all comes back to knowing your audience and what they want.
Exactly. And don't underestimate consistency. Putting out fresh content regularly, that's what keeps people engaged. Plus, it tells YouTube's algorithm that you're active and serious.
Oh yeah, the algorithm, that mysterious beast.
And speaking of the algorithm, figuring out how that thing works is crucial. If you want visibility and growth, you kind of have to learn how to speak its language.
Makes sense. Sounds like there's a lot to juggle. Okay, let's go back to the eye-catching thumbnail idea for a sec. Bernth seems to be talking mostly to beginners and those in the middle stages. But how important are thumbnails these days? Really, especially with so much competition.
Honestly, more important than ever. They're like mini advertisements for your videos. Think about it. When you're scrolling through a ton of stuff, that thumbnail's often the first thing you see.
Right, makes sense.
It can literally make the difference between someone clicking or just scrolling right past.
So, like, it's got to be your video's storefront, basically.
That's a great way to put it. You want it to be attractive, relevant to who you're trying to reach.
Enticing.
Yeah, exactly. And just like with a storefront, you want to make it clear what's inside. There's a real art to designing a good thumbnail. You've got contrasting colors that pop, a good image that actually shows what your video is about, maybe some text that gives key info or makes people curious.
So it's not just slapping any old image on there. Are there any strategies for making them extra click-worthy? Like, should people think about color psychology or A/B testing and stuff?
For sure, those are great tools to use. Color psychology is huge for getting people to feel certain things and making things stand out. Like, think about how red is often used for excitement or urgency, while blue can give a sense of trust.
Yeah.
And A/B testing different thumbnails, that's super smart too. By creating different versions and seeing which ones do the best, you can figure out what your audience really responds to.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Bernth's course has this really detailed FAQ section where he talks about things people worry about, like copying other YouTubers or needing crazy tech skills, even just the format of the course itself. What are your thoughts on how practical his approach is?
Well, it's definitely a good sign that he addresses those concerns head on. I'm all for learning from people who are already killing it. They've usually learned a lot from their own mistakes, right?
Right.
But you have to be careful about just copying blindly. Getting inspired is one thing, but what really makes you stand out is developing your own style and voice.
So it's more about understanding the big ideas and then making them your own.
Exactly. It's like learning music theory. Sure, you need to get the basics down, but ultimately you want to write your own melodies, not just play someone else's songs over and over.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we can't ignore Bernth's massive subscriber count. Obviously, he's doing something right. But he does put in a disclaimer that results may vary. What kind of expectations should people have? What's realistic?
You hit the nail on the head that disclaimer's important. Success on YouTube almost never happens overnight. It takes consistent effort, patience, and being willing to adapt as the platform changes.
So more like a marathon than a sprint.
Exactly. And just like training for a marathon, you need the right mindset and you've got to be in it for the long haul.
Makes sense.
It's all about passion, persistence, and creating stuff that truly connects with your audience. It really is like marathon training too, You're going to hit some bumps, maybe even a few setbacks. But the important thing is to stay focused, learn from any missteps, and just keep going.
It's all about that growth mindset,
Hmm.
right? Seeing challenges as opportunities. You mentioned niche selection before. How important is that when it comes to YouTube success?
Oh, it's crucial. Picking the right niche can make all the difference in attracting a dedicated audience and standing out from the crowd.
It's kind of like finding that perfect intersection, right?
Exactly. Where your passions and what people actually want to watch, they overlap.
So it's not about chasing whatever's trendy or trying to please everyone.
Definitely not. Authenticity is key. People can tell when you're not being genuine, and you're just hopping on the bandwagon. The YouTubers who do really well, they're the ones who genuinely love what they're doing. That passion shines through.
It's all about finding your people, your tribe, the ones who connect with what makes you, you. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Bernth's Hook Mastery course. To wrap up our deep dive, let's compare it to some other popular YouTube programs out there. Things like Think Media, YouTube Masterclass, and Video Creators Academy. What do you think? How does Hook Mastery measure up based on what we've seen?
Well, each program has its own strengths and kind of targets a different audience. Think Media, for example, their YouTube growth course, is known for being super practical, giving real advice on production and marketing.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one.
If you're looking to up your YouTube game overall, it's a solid choice.
What about YouTube Masterclass? That seems to be a popular one too.
Yeah, that one's offered through Udemy, and it's pretty comprehensive. Covers a wide range of topics, from setting up your channel to making money. If you want a broad overview of the platform, it's a good option.
And then there's Video Creators Academy, which it seems a little more focused on the business side of things, right?
Exactly. If you're serious about building a sustainable business on YouTube, that one's for you. It gets into some pretty advanced strategies for growing your audience, building your brand, and monetization.
So where does Bernth's Hook Mastery fit into all of this? It seems a bit more specialized than those other programs.
You're right. It's more niche, really focusing on those crucial early engagement elements of the powerful ideas and those compelling thumbnails.
So more like a specific tool in your YouTube toolkit.
I like that. Yeah, it's about mastering that one element that can make a huge difference, especially in those first few seconds of a video.
Right, those first few seconds are crucial. Okay, so if someone's trying to decide which program is right for them, what advice would you give?
Honestly, start by being really honest with yourself.
No.
What are your biggest challenges right now? What do you want to get better at?
Makes sense.
Then take a look at each program. What does it focus on? How much does it cost? Are there any bonus features? See which one really aligns with what you need. It's all about finding the right fit for your YouTube journey.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful, really unpacking the world of YouTube success. We've covered a ton, from powerful ideas and eye-catching thumbnails to the bigger picture quality content, consistency, engaging your audience, and knowing how the algorithm works.
We've also talked about keeping your expectations realistic, choosing the right niche, and always being open to learning and adapting as YouTube changes.
It's been a great conversation, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Definitely. This world of online video is dynamic and constantly evolving. There's always something new to discover.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a thought-provoking question, something to get them thinking about those attention-grabbing elements we discussed earlier.
I'm all for it. Fire away.
Okay, here it is. If you could create a YouTube thumbnail that was guaranteed to get clicks, what would it look like and why?
Whoa, that's a good one. It really makes you think about the psychology behind what makes people click, doesn't it? What would you use visually? What colors, text, what kind of feeling would it evoke? So many possibilities.
It's like a fun puzzle trying to crack the code of visual language that really speaks to people.
Exactly. And keep in mind, it's not just about grabbing attention for the sake of it. You want to accurately represent your content and set the right expectations. If people click, they should get what they were promised, right?
That's such an important point. A misleading thumbnail might get you clicks in the short term, but it could also damage your credibility and trust with viewers over time.
You got it. It's all about building that long-term relationship with your audience. A click is just the beginning. The real win is keeping them engaged, coming back for more, and becoming a part of your community.
So well said. This deep dive has been packed with insights, and we've given our listeners so much to think about, hopefully, some real inspiration to take their channels to the next level.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic sharing what we know about this constantly changing platform.
And a huge shout out to Bernth for getting this conversation started with his Hook Mastery course. Even if our listeners choose a different path for their YouTube journey, I think the core ideas we've discussed will be valuable no matter what.
100%. And to our listener, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep creating. There's a whole world of possibilities waiting for you on YouTube.
Until next time, happy YouTubing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it? Try to create that perfect thumbnail, the one that just screams, "Click me."
It really is.
Like you're trying to figure out the secret code of what makes people click.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about getting those clicks for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about being honest with your content, setting the right expectations so that when people click, they actually get what they were looking for. They don't feel tricked.
Yeah, you want them to be excited about what they're going to see.
Yep.
And to feel like, okay, that lived up to the hype.
Exactly. Because a misleading thumbnail, sure, it might get you some clicks in the short term, but in the long run, it can really hurt your credibility.
People will stop trusting you.
Exactly. And you lose that trust, it's hard to get it back.
So true. So it's about building that relationship with your audience,
Absolutely. A click is just the first step.
Right.
The real goal is to keep them engaged, to keep them coming back for more.
And to become a part of your community.
That's it. That's the real magic.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible, packed with insights, practical advice.
Yeah, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on.
Hopefully some real inspiration to take their channels to that next level.
I hope so too.
It's been great sharing this journey with you and our listeners.
Me too. It's always fun to talk about this stuff, constantly changing, constantly new things to learn.
And a big thank you to Bernth and his Hook Mastery course for sparking this whole conversation.
Definitely.
Even if our listeners choose a different path for their YouTube journey, I think those core concepts we've talked about, the hooks, the thumbnails, the long-term strategies, it's all valuable no matter what.
100%. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep creating. The world of YouTube, it's vast, it's full of potential.
Until next time, happy YouTubing.